In today's news, 10 BVI food service businesses to receive UNDP grants this week. Dalan Vanterpool represents BVI at Caribbean Podcast Summit.
The BVI sees 2 sudden deaths and the curfew has been relaxed. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome everyone. It is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. Joining you, of course, from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. As usual, we have so much going on the local, regional, and international scene. But before we get into our newscast, just to take a look at our news summary today, new curfew to be imposed from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. here in the BVI. We have the small business grant applications that ended today at noon, and 10 BVI food service businesses to receive UNDP grants this week. Also, Premier Foy has been elected the vice chair of the United Nations ECLAC Caribbean, and 3 males have been charged in the Long Bush Robbery.
Ron, we also know members of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. They are now investigating the circumstances leading up to 2 sudden deaths we've seen in the territory between yesterday and today. Just yesterday, we confirmed the death of Mrs. Joyce Woodley, of course, a 60-year-old Vincentian woman who was formerly a part of the Red Rock restaurant family. She was found dead yesterday in Easton. And today, Ron, confirming the unfortunate death of Mr. Eric Matthias, a 65-year-old BVI lander who was found in his home in Horsepath today, just around 8 a.m. And I know amidst everything that is going on with COVID-19, we have seen quite a number of sudden deaths, Ron, and many persons are concerned that they might be COVID related. However, we do remember early in the year, Honorable Carvin Malone, the health minister, really speaking to the fact that they are testing each person. All these sudden deaths that we've been seeing, they're testing all those individuals to ensure that they rule out COVID-19 positive results. But I know the concerns are still lingering, Ron.
Absolutely, and of course, Jovan, we wish each of these families our sincere sympathies.
Absolutely. Viewers, we're going to head straight into our newscast for today. Now, a new curfew order is now in place to accommodate the free movement and allow for the reopening of additional businesses. The details were confirmed by Minister of Health, Honorable Carvin Malone, today via a government press conference. Listen in.
Following a special cabinet meeting held on Tuesday evening, a new curfew order number 32 was issued. And on behalf of Cabinet, I am pleased to report on the decisions made. Cabinet decided to impose a restricted curfew for a period of 14 days from today, Wednesday, the 16th of September 2020, from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily, subject to the requirements in the current suppression order. After the first 7 days of this new curfew order, the HEOC and Cabinet will revisit the curfew hours, and if the initiatives contemplated are finalized, the hours would likely be amended to allow further business hours for key industries that are currently affected by the restriction of hours. Cabinet decided to allow all businesses to operate except daycare centers, preschools, public pools, cinemas, bars, nightclubs, and other entertainment services, subject to being inspected and approved by the Social Distancing Monitoring Task Force and certified by the Environmental Health Division.
That was Honorable Carvin Malone, of course, speaking to the additional businesses that have been approved by the Cabinet of the Virgin Islands, of course, to operate within the hours of 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily under this current curfew. Now, Honorable Malone said government's decisions were heavily guided by the new recoveries, but did mention that the territory recorded 3 additional cases of COVID-19. Listen in.
We are able to report that 40 patients have now been fully recovered. The active number of persons diagnosed with COVID-19 now stands at 28, and 1 person has died. We are pleased to report that none of these patients are severely ill, and we continue to pray for their full and rapid recovery. The total number of COVID-19 cases reported in the territory now stands at 69. 64 were on Tortola and 5 on the island of Anegada. The majority of persons infected with the virus were between 21 and 59 years old. Of concern is that cases have also been detected among children, teens, and older persons. 7 patients were between the ages of 10 months and 10 years. 3 were between 10 and 20 years old, and 3 patients were over the age of 60. More males than females tested positive, with 52% of cases recorded among males.
Now, Ron, one of the things we've been seeing the public really rallying for is for the ministry, of course, under the leadership of Honorable Carvin Malone, to furnish the public with the analysis as it relates to who's testing positive. Do we have children within the midst? Because conventionally, or I think initially, we were told that the virus primarily affects persons of the older generation, especially those with pre-existing conditions. Nevertheless, we've seen the statistics really defy that fact. Now we see children, even within our territory, testing positive. But overall, I know with the list being extended with the businesses, I know it's really exciting for especially our salons, our barbershops, and the other additional businesses that made the list. But essentially, Ron, it still truly locks out a cross-section of the business community. We also see residents saying, in light of the recovery rate, and the fact that we've been doing what we need to do, and also in light of the fact that the economy is struggling to catch itself, we should have extended for longer hours. Now, Honorable Malone said that law enforcement actually noted. This was pretty surprising today, Ron. Law enforcement noted that the vast majority of the territory is doing exactly what they need to do to comply with the protocols. So residents are clearly following the rules, but for now, that time remains at 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. as it relates to when we'll be able to move around, Ron.
Awesome. Well, as you said, the business community is quite happy, and I think as we continue to progress, they'll continue to see some sort of leeway and products as they continue to fight, really essentially for their businesses.
And, he did mention 3 additional cases. The minister was very careful not to specify where those cases were sourced from, but he did also mention that the Betito building, of course, we know of this building being raided recently, clearly overcrowded in every regard. And of course, we found 2 illegal immigrants within that building. Well, the minister did say that all the persons within that building were tested and quarantined, which kind of leads us to assume that there may have been a possible case. But again, the minister did not confirm if any of the new cases came from that source.
And Jovan, that figure actually was 72 persons were named to be living in that building. Wow. And we still don't know the exact circumstances or conditions that they were living in. It does not seem to be adequate for that amount of persons, obviously, but we wait to hear exactly what the government of the Virgin Islands will be doing in particular to that particular situation. One of the things that I want to highlight to the general public, for those who may not know, that particular building in question is on Wickham Ski, and if you don't know, Wickham Ski is prime property for which many Virgin Islanders fought to secure. So to see it being used in that manner is quite disheartening, and we await the government's response as it pertains to how they're going to deal with that particular situation.
Absolutely.
Continuing on the local scene, continuing from a story we covered yesterday, 10 food service operators in the Virgin Islands will be awarded COVID-19 grants from the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, said during the launch of payment of COVID-19 small business stimulus grants and the UNDP grant that the successful operators in the food services sector will receive checks of $4,000 each this week from the UNDP program to assist micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Now, Premier Foy said that the food service businesses on the 4 main islands, including 2 on Anegada, 1 on Virgin Gorda, 1 on Joss Van Dyke, and 6 businesses on Tortola will benefit from this grant program. He added that 50%, Giovanna, I know you're going to be happy to hear this, 50% of the 10 businesses are female-owned, and that the 10 businesses are inclusive of 5 restaurants, 3 food vans, and 2 cafes or snackets. Now, the Premier thanked the UNDP for partnering with the government of the Virgin Islands in providing economic stimulus to small businesses in the territory of the Virgin Islands and urged the business owners to use the funds wisely. Premier Foy said, and I quote, "Each awardee will be required to sign a declaration form upon receipt of the check, which outlines their commitment, for example, to honor the intended purpose for the funds, meeting business operational expenditures, as well as to participate in any surveys on accessing the program and to participate in the financial management assistance training being offered pro bono by 2 of the BVI's accounting firms, Deloitte and KPMG. Now, meanwhile, interim UNDP President Representative Mr. Hugo Blanco stated that his organization was honored to partner with the government of the British Virgin Islands in their Pioneer Initiative, which supports small and medium-sized enterprises that have been significantly impacted by COVID-19. Mr. Blanco said, and I quote, "Thanks to the leadership and proactiveness of the Premier's office and the Ministry of Finance, food operators in the BVI are now better equipped with the tools and resources needed to jumpstart their operations. This work showcases the commitment of the government and will provide assistance to the most affected groups and allow them to adapt as quickly as possible to the new economic context." Now, continuing on, Premier Foy further stated that the government of the Virgin Islands remains committed to development of small businesses and its support will continue beyond COVID-19 stimulus grant. He said, and I quote, "My government is devoted to building entrepreneurial skills. Therefore, as part of the knowledge-based component of the program, awardees will be receiving business management guidance by accounting and business development professionals in the BVI. The grant program was administered through the Ministry of Finance in collaboration with the Premier's office and, of course, the Department of Trade, Investment Promotions, and Consumer Affairs. Applications were made available on June 22nd. Now, the government of the Virgin Islands remains committed to supporting the reassurance of the small businesses sector in the BVI as part of the economic response plan to the COVID-19 pandemic. Jovan, I know these restaurant owners and food service representatives will be quite happy when they receive their assistance. The hospitality industry has by far been the one of the most severely impacted industries, so we're happy that some assistance from the UNDP will aid in this initiative.
Absolutely. Pumping some funds back into the hospitality industry should definitely be a priority at this time. Viewers, right after this commercial break, we are speaking to 2 of the BVI superstars. Firstly, we have Miss Brionka Halbert. Of course, she would have graced the September issue of Vogue magazine. Big deal. And of course, later on, getting into it with Miss Dalan Vanterpool, who's also represented the BVI at the Caribbean Podcast Summit. We have all the details when we return.
Yes. You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Top of power.
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Brilliant Hands and Minds Tutoring Services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, Ms. Brionka Halbert is one of the fashion industry's newest international models. She is based in the U.S., but happens to also be from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. Bianca, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's nice to meet you.
Excellent, excellent. Now, you have been taking the industry by storm, truly cementing yourself as a brand and really repping the BVI flag high. How did you even get into modeling?
I got into modeling while I was in Florida. I think I got casted in my high school actually by a janitor there. So she put me in contact with like a lot of people in the industry and stuff like that. And then me and my mom actually took a trip up to New York City to get signed to one of the biggest agencies in New York. So yeah, that's how that's going.
So you've been doing this ever since you're in high school, and of course, still very pretty young. But if you had to choose maybe a highlight of your career so far, what would you say that is?
I mean, one of my biggest achievements would be that I made it in Vogue. Last year, I think around the same time, I was in British Vogue. So now to be in US Vogue and having my whole family just seeing this whole spread and stuff like that. I mean, my brother literally bought all the magazines off the stands and stuff. So it's really a nice
Wow.
thing to see. Like,
Absolutely. It's a major
everyone.
deal. I mean, when you think about Vogue, that is essentially the Bible of the fashion industry. So what was the experience like working with the team at Vogue?
Well, we shot this during quarantine. So actually, I was in Florida with my mom at the time, and I'd flown up to New York City to do the shoot, and we shot it upstate. And I mean, like everyone's in masks and like visors. So at that point, I was like, this is kind of weird, but it was cool. And everyone was staying 6 feet away. Like I was staying 6 feet away from the photographer. The only person that was really touching me was the makeup artist and all these different things. So all the necessary precautions were actually taken during the shoot, and it came out beautiful. It was really nice.
All right. What about the feedback? I know you said your brother was trying to get every copy off the shelves, but what about the wider BVI? And I know you're also, you have roots in St. Kitts as well. Speak to us about the feedback for where you're from.
I think the feedback's great. I've gotten a lot of DMs from a lot of people from all over the world actually picking up the magazine. And even from St. Kitts, like my dad's from St. Kitts, so even seeing them, how they perceived it as well was a great thing. But I think that this whole Vogue spread has really spread all over the British Virgin Islands too, and people just getting back to me about it and saying how beautiful I look and all these different things. I really am appreciative to how everyone's perceived me.
All right. Like I said, you're still pretty young, Brionka, but nevertheless, quite a colorful career so far. I'm sure there's so much for you to look forward to. At this stage, what would you say is next for you?
Well, I think at this stage in my career, with the Black Lives Matter movement really creating waves in my industry, I'm very honored right now to be the future face of beauty. Even looking back like 10, 20 years ago, this would be unheard of for a Black model to be the face of beauty. So from that point of view, I think it speaks magnitudes, but it's also kind of disheartening that Black lives were, innocent lives were lost. For the world to wake up to these injustices, not only in police brutality, but how Black women are perceived and oftentimes ridiculed in the media. So from that point of view, I think there's a lot of questions being asked, and creative directors and designers really asking these like hard questions, like are our brands inclusive enough? Are we even using Black models or Black models of different shapes and sizes? So I think this whole movement's really been a great experience for me. I've done protesting. I've done like multiple protests at this point, and really just waking up to like a lot of people waking up to what we've been going through as Black models in the industry. For me next, I would say that I'm working on being a brand ambassador for the British Virgin Islands. I mean, every single time I walk into a room all around the world, I travel a lot. So the first thing they always ask is where you're from. And I always say that I'm from the British Virgin Islands. And then, it always goes into, oh, I've been here. You're from the BVIs, like, da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, have you been to Virgin Gorda? Have you been to Antigua? Like, and then most of the times they'll be like, oh, yeah, I've sailed around there and stuff like that. So I'm always putting the BVI to the forefront of my career and just doing that. And also with the DMs that I've been getting from all over the world and stuff, throughout my career, actually, they've been asking me like, oh, how'd you get into modeling, all these different things. So I'm also going to work on some type of platform where I can actually reach out to some of my followers from around the world and get them the information they need, because a lot of them want to get into modeling, even though it's not so easy industry to get into. But I mean, I think I can share some of my gems to them and help them through the journey.
All right. Excellent, excellent, Brionka. Well, we want to say congratulations. I mean, again, this is a major deal, not just for you, but by extended the British Virgin Islands. And you said, you want to become an ambassador. You are that ambassador, and we are very, very much proud of you. So we just want to wish you all the best. And of course, ask that you keep in touch.
Thank you. For sure, I will. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Take care. All right, Ron, that was the beautiful Brionka Halbert, of course, representing the BVI. Listen to me. You've heard what she said, using her face and her talent to really bring awareness and advocate for Black lives' rights across the world, and also speaking to reaching back and mentoring persons within the industry who might want to become models within the BVI, really repping the BVI as a brand. I think all in all, she really truly encapsulates a true BVI ambassador.
And doing it with quite a bit of grace. Absolutely. Again, we're very proud of her. We wish her all the best. I think one of the most important things, Jovan, as we continue to move through the trajectory of life, many persons here are really, young persons particularly, are continuing to doing amazing things and really setting the precedence and the stage for others to be inspired, and come up and do just as great as they are. And another young person representing the BVI, the one and only Mr. Dalan Vanterpool, represents BVI at Caribbean Podcast Summit. Now, International Podcast Day is September 30th and is an international celebration of the power of podcasts. The celebration is a great opportunity to connect with fellow podcasters, podcast listeners, and enthusiasts, and help leaders in the podcasting industry. Now, one of the things that's really remarkable about Mr. Penn is the fact that he has really set the stage for a lot of persons to come and join the podcasting world, like our very own Miss Kyla Kenesha Forbes, who has the podcast Such a Girl. So let's listen in as Mr. Dalan Vanterpool speaks about some of the remarkable things that he's been up to, particularly as it pertains to this Caribbean Podcast Summit. Listen in.
Hey Ron, thanks again for reaching out. This is Dalan Vanterpool dropping you the note. As promised, International Podcast Day is coming up on September 30th. It's September 30th each year, and this year I got selected to represent on the Caribbean Podcasters panel. So it's going to be myself along with 4 other podcasters from Jamaica, Haiti, Guadeloupe, Trinidad, and a number of different countries. So that'll be our particular panel, but there will be podcasters throughout the day from all around the world. So International Podcast Day is an all-day long celebration of the power of podcasting, the reach it has, its ability to tell stories and connect people from all across the globe. So that's going down on September 30th. Our panel for the Caribbean section of it will go down at 5 p.m. BVI time over at internationalpodcastday.com. So anyone who's interested can definitely check that out. For me, of course, this is another opportunity to put the BVI on the map. I always tell folks, it doesn't matter where you are located in the world. If you're from the BVI, you can be distant but never disconnected. So always looking for an opportunity to spread the word about what's going on in the BVI. I've been rocking out doing podcasting now for about 4 years. And since the last time we talked to you, we have actually rebranded my podcast, which is now called Careers and Cash Flow, over at dalanv.com/podcast. So careers and cash flow, talking about jobs and money, the financial education side of things. So we'll be talking about that on there as well. But I encourage everyone in the Caribbean definitely to check out what's going on at International Podcast Day, as we will be sharing a number of different things, but really looking at how this can transform and connect the Caribbean and get the stories told that may not hit mainstream media, things that may not be shared in books or through regular ways. We can now connect with people directly and hear about things that are going on in the Caribbean besides the coconuts and palm trees. Talking about film, we're talking about media, tech, all kinds of different topics that are going to be covered here on International Podcast Day from the Caribbean perspective, of course, during our panel at 5 p.m. on September 30th. So thanks for the support. I encourage everyone to check it out. And anyone else in the BVI who's interested in podcasting, of course, you can always find me on social media at DalanV, DALANV. Reach out. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks again to you, 284 Media, and the entire BVI for supporting independent young creators. Have a powerful day.
Viewers, that was podcaster Mr. Dalan Vanterpool. Now, the celebration, which he's going to be participating in, is a great opportunity to connect with fellow podcasters, podcast listeners, podcast enthusiasts, and leaders in the podcasting industry. It is also a great way to help spread the word by telling your friends, sharing of the celebration on your podcast and social media feeds, and of course using the hashtag International Podcast Day. Now, there are several ways to get involved and lots to benefit from by taking part in the International Podcast Day. Just as podcast and podcasting has evolved over the years, International Podcast Day has done the same. In 2004, National Podcast Day was celebrated with 6 hours of broadcasting. After quickly realizing the power of podcasts internationally, they rebranded into what we are today, International Podcast Day. Now, between 2015 and 2019, they broadcasted hundreds of hours around the globe, inviting podcasters and industry leaders from 70 different countries to share their podcast journey, as well as their personal stories and expertise. Now, it is important to recognize the history, but move forward with celebrating the power of podcasts. It's such a great tool, Jovan, and we are very proud of Mr. Dalan Vanterpool, and we wish him the very best in this summit, and we continue to support his journey. Make sure you guys check it out, as well as our very own Kyla Kenesha Forbes on Such a Grow podcast.
The podcast world is such a huge world, really a way for us to tap into a different aspect of technology and really continue to spread the message. And trust me, Ron, there are a lot of persons who tune into that podcast world. So, and I know Mr. Vanterpool has been really leaving a positive imprint out there, doing really, really big things. Even I continue to follow his content, especially on Instagram and Twitter, really doing exceptional things. So again, just want to wish Mr. Vanterpool as well as Ms. Halbert, two exceptional BVI landers doing their thing abroad.
All right, now still ahead, 3 males have been charged in a Long Bush robbery, and we have a lot more once we have the time. All this and more after word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Welcome back to 284 News. Now, Ron, we see some new developments coming out of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force.
Yes, indeed. Recently, 3 males have been charged for a Long Bush robbery. Police received and responded to a report of a robbery in Long Bush at Oregon Barber Shop at approximately 10:45 a.m. on August 10th, 2020. Now, 3 males have been charged in relation to this robbery. On Friday, September 11th, 2020, police executed a search on a residence in Main Street, where a loaded firearm and quantity of drugs were recovered. Kawa Cornwall, 36, Rain J. Christopher, 21, and Samuel Harris, 29, all of Main Street have been jointly charged with 2 counts of robbery, keeping a firearm without a license, unlawful possession of explosive, and of course, unlawful possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply. They remain in police custody after their appearance in the magistrate's court. I know this comes at is good news for
Yes.
the residents of Roetown, as there has been a string of robberies, and the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force has now been able to connect these young men to the robbery.
I know it definitely comes as a relief for many, especially in light of the fact that we've seen a surge in crime. And we're going to get into those details a bit more tomorrow,
Yes.
but for now, viewers, we are out of time. But again, so thrilled and happy that you could join us. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. Have a happy Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.